If you are struggling to explain encapsulation example in your interviews, don't worry, I have got you covered with a perfect example. Welcome to Automation Testing Crew channel. In this video, we are going to cover a basic example program. Along with that, a detailed explanation with diagrams. I'll be sharing you guys the practice programs and interview questions related to encapsulation. Let's start with the basic example. I have considered a very basic example. If you are someone who is looking for real world example, I have uploaded another video in my channel. You guys can go and check it out. In this video, we are going to discuss about student class. Let's discuss how we can achieve encapsulation step by step. The first step is that you guys have to create the class. So we have considered student as an example. So we are going to create the class for student. Let me create a new Java class by giving the name as student main. Okay, so this student main class, I'm going to use it for execution. So first step says that we have to create a class. I'll be creating a class for student. Second step says that we have to declare the variables as private. So why we have to declare the variables as private here is to hide the data. So encapsulation is nothing but hiding the data, right? So to hide the data, we are going to make use of private keyword. In this student example, we have to declare three different variables, which are student ID, student name, and marks. And then we are going to make these variables as private. Let me create a private variable for int student ID. The same way, I am going to create private int marks, private string student name. So these are the three different variables which I have declared inside the student class, and these variables are private. So what do you mean by private? So whenever you are going to declare a member of a class using this private keyword, so the accessibility of the member of the class will be limited to only the class block. I mean, you cannot access this member outside the class. So we have created the class, that is the first step, and we have declared all the variables as private, that is our second step. The third step says that we have to create public getters method to read the data. So in our example, we have total three variables, right? Student ID, name, and marks. So for those variables, we have to create the getter method. So get student ID, get student name, and get marks. So always your getters method should be public. Return type should be the same of the variable for which you are going to create this getter method, and the name of this getter method always should start with get. So I'll be saying get student ID. What is the job of this method is that it has to return the value, right? So I'm going to tell this dot student ID. The same way we have to create getter method for all the variables which is present in that particular class. Alright, so here are the getters method for marks as well as getter method for student name. The final step says that we have to create setters method. So why do we need this setters method? Setters method is used to write the data. So how many setters method we have to create? We have to create three. Set student ID, set student name, set marks. Now your getter method was public, even your setter method also you guys have to declare it as public only. So I'll say public. Return type always it should be void, and the name of the method should start with set. So I'm going to tell set student ID, and whenever you have to set the value, you should be needing the value, right? So for that, we have to accept that value in the method argument, and we are going to ask the user whenever he has to change the value, so he has to pass that particular new value. So let me just say student id. So whatever the id we are going to get from the end user, we are going to reinitialize the variable here. So I'll tell this dot student id is equal to student id. So this is how we are going to create the setter method. The same way you guys have to create the setter method for marks as well as student name. Alright, so here we have the getter method and setter method for all these three members of this class. Fine. So how we are going to make use of this getter and setter method? Let's see an example. So for execution, as I already told you, I'll be making use of this student main class. So we have to create a main method. The first thing is that we have to create the object of this student class. So I'm going to say student1 is equal to new student. Okay, so we have created the object. Whenever you are going to create the object, okay, so all the members of the class will be initialized with the default value. So what we have to do now, we have to set the value, right? So for that, already we have some of the setters method which we have created in the class. So all these setter method are non-static method. So how you guys can access that? Using the reference variable of the object. So I'm going to tell student1 dot set student name, and I'm going to pass the student name as Rakshit. Then I have to set the student ID. So I'll tell student ID. So student ID should be anything. You can give anything. So I'm giving here 101. Next, student1 dot set marks. So let's assume that this particular student Rakshit has scored around 395 marks. Okay. Now, so we have set the value. What's next? We have to access those values. Before that, let me run this script and show you guys whether there is an error in this code or not. So you can see the execution is completed and we don't have any error here. So why did I run this program? Here you will understand. So we have declared the member of this class as private. Shall we try to access that directly? Right, let's give a try. System.out.println. So I'm going to tell, see, this is also a non-static member. We have to access it with the help of the reference variable. So I'm going to tell the student1 dot student id. So what we are getting here, so it is throwing some error. Okay, so it is saying that student id has private access modifier in student class, so we cannot access directly, and it is only giving you the suggestion saying that replace with getter. Okay, so we cannot directly access the private member. So that is the reason we have created the getters method, right? System.out.println. So here I'll tell student1. Okay, so it is throwing error because I have copied the reference variable name. So I'm telling student1 dot get student name. Okay, so I'll copy the same line, and here instead of student name we have to get the student id. Then let us try to fetch the marks. So first we have created the object of this class, then we are initializing the values for those private members. Then we are trying to access the value which is present in that private variable. Now let me run this script and observe what it is going to print. So here you can see it is printing Rakshit. This is the student ID and this is the marks. So if you want to understand what it is printing, so you can tell name and concatenate the string value like this for your better understanding. Okay, so in this line we are printing ID and in this line we are printing marks. So I am giving the string as marks so that it will be easy for us to understand what it is printing, right? So let's see. So you can see the name is Rakshit, ID is 101 and marks it is 395. Here I have a quick question for you guys. Why did we declare the variable as private here? What is the reason? Can you guys comment your answers? Let's see who will answer correctly. Now that you have understood the basics, here there are some programs to practice. So I have listed out some of the programs which is related to this encapsulation concept. So you guys can try it out. So it will be helpful for your next interviews. So already we have discussed this student example. So you guys can ignore this and you guys can consider these two examples, person class and employee class. So create this class, declare these variables as private and create the getters and setters method. Okay, so by using those four simple. Now the most important part, interview questions. So before discussing interview questions, if encapsulation is clear enough, comment understood, hit the like button and subscribe for more. If you have any questions, please drop it in the comment. I have listed some of the most common asked and important questions related to encapsulation. Okay, so which are, what is encapsulation, how do we achieve encapsulation, what are the advantages of encapsulation, and what is the difference between encapsulation and abstraction. So in the next video I am going to discuss each and every question and I'll be giving you the answer that how exactly you guys have to answer for this question in your next interview. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.